Alright, good morning everyone. We're back today looking at BiomeCore again. Somebody on the Voxel Discord asked me if I could elaborate on the concept of using a linear color buffer instead of the BiomeCore's native texture sampler. So we are going to do that today. Um, the first change is in the BiomeCore world graph, the Voxel graph. All I've done here is I've created a new metadata, a new linear color metadata. I haven't named it, um, and I've just put in a very simple noise. So what you'll see this clearly at the end, where we've got a random biome cache that has been created by this, basically. Right, so what we're going to start with is in our Biome Actors folder. I've got a test example here. We are going to create a new blueprint, and it's going to be, the parent is going to be PCG Biome Actor, and I'm going to name this BP PCG Biome Voxel Color Map, and I'm going to open this up, and I've got the PCG Biome Texture blueprint open here as well, and I basically just need to copy some information over that we will be using. The first thing to do is to add a volume, which is called a box. I'm going to tag the box with the same tag that is on the texture volume. Should just, I don't actually know what it does, but actually I do, I think I use it, but I can't remember, so we'll figure that out later. I'm just going to do it anyway. And I'm going to set the size. The extents here is the defaults on the texture class are this, so I'm just going to use them. Looks ugly, but oh well. And then the other change that we need to make before copying variables is setting the graph. So we want to set the local biome core voxel, and then that adds all of these parameters, and we are also going to be setting the local biome cache. Now to get that graph, we need to find this texture graph that they use, because I'm just going to be modifying it. So you'll find it in plugins, BiomeCore content, and in their core folder, biome local cache texture. I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it voxel color map. And I'm going to move this into our BiomeCore core folder. And it's just going to sit right next to the test version I made. I'll open it up, and you can see we've got exactly the same as what is in their texture graph here, because we've just duplicated it. But if we go back to our voxel color map blueprint, we can now set it here. So voxel, and we want our biome local cache voxel color map. And as far as, well, let's drag it into the world and start. So in our core folder, in our actors folder, we have the voxel color map actor. Drag it into the world, and it is a very small volume. Let's scale it up. Let's set a default definition. Now the color I've used is the voxel, is the broadleaf. So I'm just going to add the broadleaf voxel definition and the broadleaf voxel asset. So now when it does work, we will hopefully start to see some files. But for now, let's jump in and see what errors it's giving us. So it's given us a bunch of errors because this graph is calling actor properties that existed on the texture blueprint but don't exist on our blueprint yet. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these 4 nodes because we don't need them. But we will need to recreate the definition, the biome color tolerance, and the local cache Z extents. The local cache snap surface is a bit optional, but I'm just going to do it anyway, just to make life easy. So we want to copy the biome color tolerance and paste it. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't keep the categorization, but that's not the end of the world. Texel size, I am going to copy that, but I'm going to rename it something else. I'm going to call it cell size. It's no longer a texel, but it is going to be our grid cell. Z extents, I do want that. Paste it, and snap to surface. Paste it, and I do actually want the definition and the local assets. I'm going to copy those as well. Paste variable. Okay, so now let's go back to our color map and refresh it, and the errors have gone, but we're not doing anything anymore. What we need to do is we need to create a grid. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get actor data, and I am going to get the single point of our volume. That's where I need the tag. Yes, so you'll remember on this box we gave it a tag. I want that, and I want it to go in this component selection here. So what that gives us is a point, he says. Is that working? Is this doing anything? Why isn't it debugging? Alright, let's paste that back in there. Is it because it's runtime or something? BiomeCore. Okay, that's doing something. This has inherited the Biome Actor tag, that's fine. Hello, what's going on? It's got all of these assets. It's got the local biome core. It's got the local biome cache. So this should be, oh, and all of a sudden it's appeared. Why? That's very annoying. Okay, back to work. Okay, so I've got the bounds and I've got the scale. But what I need to do is I need to apply the scale to the bounds so that we get a single grid size. Well, we almost do. And then I'm going to copy attributes. Well, actually, I'll show you why I'm going to copy attributes first, and that's because we're going to create a points grid. And that points grid, we can override the cell size, which is going to use one of our parameters that we've just created, and we can override the grid extents. So we need to override this grid extents with the extents of our volume. And to get the extents, we have done this stuff. So all I'm going to do here, this is going to be bounds max, and this is going to be grid extents. So then I end up with an attribute called grid extents here, and then I need to do attribute set to point, point to attribute set is what I need to do. Plug that in there, and that's fine. Let's do get actor property self, and we're going to get this cache cell size, and we're going to call it the cell size. Okay, PCG BiomeCore map. Local cache cell size. Whoops. I'm going to plug that into the cell size. So now, let me just see if there's any other parameters. I want this to call points outside its volume, and I want it to be in the local component coordinate space. So now I end up with a nice grid with the bounds set, and all I need to do from here is add the color information. So let's do a voxel query. Change it to a height layer because that's cheaper. Get rid of that suffix. Let us query a metadata. We're writing to the color metadata, so we'll query it. And then what that gives us is the color from our biome definition. And we just need to do another copy attributes because further along here it's using the RGB. So I think I can use last, which is a good thing here, because when you put something into the PCG node, it's also tracking the last affected attribute. So if you look at this, it says the last affected attribute was the linear color metadata. Here it says the same thing, but on this it's saying the last thing that was affected was the position. So I can use last here, so I don't need to track the name of the color metadata dynamically. And then I set this to the color and plug that in there. And in theory, let's just see, do we have some points flowing through? We do have a bunch of points flowing through, and we have some trees. Great. While I've got my actor selected and the PCG component selected, I can also debug the biome cache to see what it looks like. You can see it doesn't match the terrain because it's a different noise, and if I scale it up, you'll see what the noise looks like. Yeah, so this is just, it's working. That's good. We can make it less accurate by increasing the cell size. So the grids will get bigger, he says. Did they get bigger? They must have done. Yeah, sorry, it's taking a while for the old cubes to fade out, but they are getting a lot bigger and theoretically less accurate. Well, definitely less accurate. Oops. Yeah. That will slow down the graph, but it'll mean that you get the biomes closely matching the color buffer. And this tolerance will allow you to, well, what it will do is it will resolve to the nearest biome asset that is available, I think he says. I did this for the first time on the previous version of BiomeCore, which wasn't using local caches, it was using a global cache. So I'm not entirely sure how it plays with various colors. But yeah, this is here and it works essentially. So you would build out more colors into this linear color buffer. Them colors would match your biome definitions and your biome assets. And then you're either going to need one color map per biome. So you'll place one of these per biome and set a different definition, I think. Yeah, probably. And that will just populate a full buffer for the biome cache to work with. And that's it basically. If you've got any questions, let me know. There might be a bit more you can do to this graph. Replace the projection with a voxel projection, probably. I honestly don't think you need this. You can delete that and it'll all just work fine, he says. wiggle this. Yeah, that still works, so you don't need that bit that was just after this add tags node. Yeah. So that's that. Let me know if you have any questions. The next video is going to be on updating the runtime graph to use either RVT or sort of a scene capture type workflow. And yeah, let me know if you've got any other ideas for the biome cache you'd like me to try and use, because I can jump through the graphs and try and make those for you. And thanks for watching. Have a good day. See you later.